After e5, black just didn't dare to do so, so he played knight e4. In case of queen takes d5, we have short castles, queen b3, rook e1, and it's just a matter of a few moves before white gets all the real tactics and threats happening in a short while. So black just couldn't dare to do so. When the move of knight e2 happened, black did knight e4, castles, knight takes knight, knight takes knight, and actually white even played bishop takes knight. Now some people wouldn't get to understand it, you see. So in fact, why does white really get to play with a move of bishop takes c3? Now we know that exchanges are bad for the attacking side, so why do we make this? Why does white really offer to exchange the bishops like this? Well, the reason why white is playing bishop takes to c3 is because he knows that this is going to give him a chance to set his knight forward, and that little concession he's making on his own is very purposeful. In reality, what this will do is that it will give white an opportunity to improve something. It's going to give him a chance to get his minor piece, his knight, which is incredible in this position, on a more powerful place right down the line, and this is most helpful. That's the exact reason why this move happened, and it was beautiful. When the move of bishop takes to c3 happened, the bishop really doesn't matter as much, and after bishop takes c3, knight takes to c3, and short castle, we get the first critical position of this game. The question now is, what is the best way for white to carry on and simply continue with his attack? Now we have to remember that the gambit leads us to a very nice attacking position in the middle game, but it doesn't necessarily mean a situation in which we can just win the game immediately. Some people exactly think this, and that's just wrong. You don't think this way, okay? In fact, it gives us this position where we are much better developed, a whole lot stronger, and just good. But what do we do next? Now you can pause the video right here and try to think on your own as to what is the best possibility for white to situate his pieces and eventually start moving forward and attacking. What is the best way to go on from this point? Now the way how we can look at this position out there is in fact to find out how white can get a pieces. I mean, there's the bishop to the there's the queen to the g4, in fact. Then we've got knight d5, then we got rook to e1, then we got even rook a d1, rook to d3, and rook to h3. Now, for some people, this will be a pure fantasy, because they'll say, this is just crazy. How can something like this really work? And then I say, you know, the reason why we care about these kind of moves is because that gives you this schematic idea in your mind as to what moves you need in order to get your pieces and your attack forward. Now when you have that sort of a schematic idea, you will start thinking about how to manage that and how to get this to work. So white knew right now that all he needs to do in order to get that structure of his pieces is to be, is to get, moving one move after another, little by little, and it's not going to take too much time, really. It's not. So how do we organize it? We've decided on our outline. We've decided what moves to go with. Well, there's a rule, and it says always start your attack or your activity with the most active and attacking, threatening moves you need, like knight d5. This move is great. Once the white knight came onto the d5 square, we realized that the whole idea behind the move is just to attack the queen, and in fact, when black takes the pawn, it gives us one more tempo to drive it away so that we can get more pieces into the battle. Is it worth it? And some people still would be a little doubtful about that, because they'll say, okay, well, 3 pawns. I mean, if I don't get to make the attack right, I'm going to lose. And exactly this fear makes many people stay away from sacrificing. This is really not the good way to go. If you sacrifice, then you must be ready to play those kind of positions. And in fact, after white play, this is what makes white's attack incredibly strong. So literally, white just moves his own pieces directly forward against black's position, and this was great. Now what's happening at this point is that after white's queen moved to h5, black decided he can't stand in this position anymore. So he said to himself, you know what? What I'm actually going to do in this moment is I'm going to try and drive those pieces away. I'm going to do c6, which means a good move that sets the black knight, the white knight, to move out of the way, and it looks like a good start. So, c6, what do we do next? Now you need to understand that the potential your pieces have is huge. And I'm really talking about something that is extremely large and big and powerful. So when you have something so large and so powerful and so great, then you've got to use it. And very often, you know, in order to use it successfully, all you need is the chance or this opportunity to attack with more forcing moves, with more attacking possibilities. This move that white did next is incredible. So I'll give you a chance to find it. You can pause the video, take like a few minutes, and then resume the video so that you can check if you've actually found it. But this next move is really, really incredible. It's a small move with a great value and amazing power as well. So, what is that? What is white supposed to do now? In fact, the next move is knight c7, and some people have a hard time in just getting that to understand what this is all about. But let's really talk about this. If we have the attack going on, we have the elements to think about. The first element is the king, which is ultimately the major weakness. So we're looking at a major weakness. That's the first element to consider. Okay, so we've got that one out there. Okay, so the second element is amount of pieces and potential, and we've got a huge amount of potential out there that we could think about. And then the third thing that we have to care about is, you know, okay, we've got the potential, we've got the target, we've got the, you know, the strength. We need open lines. So we've got that one too. White's got a lot of open lines in here. So why still can't find the possibility to checkmate? And then we come to the ultimate thing that we have to consider, and that is the possibility to eliminate the main defender. See, sometimes you have to pause these calculations. I know that many players just calculate and calculate and calculate, and they lose themselves into the calculation. So instead of just calculating at all times, you got to pause and think. Okay, so what is it that I need in this position in order to make my attack successful? What do I need to remove? What's the main protector that's holding him safe? And if you look very carefully at that, and you think about this question precisely, you realize that the only thing that's holding black safe is nothing else but that queen on d6. It's really everything. If that queen wasn't there, there'd be nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing that he could do in a good way. So that queen is all. If we could find a way to get rid of it, it's perfect. So in fact, white sacrificed a knight. Now, one thing about sacrifice is that if we sacrifice, we must have a very good follow-up. And white actually had that. When the queen takes, we've got another forcing move. Obviously, the black king can't retreat, as we will take the rook. And if the rook takes the queen, we'll get a checkmate going, as the rook is pinned and can't really cover the check of white's own rook. That knight c7 is the most beautiful move of the whole game. And then you realize that this teaches a lot. You see, even if you don't see knight c7 in your real game, you see it later on in the analysis, it still teaches a lot by suggesting on how you should think. So when you get yourself in a similar situation again and again, in the beginning, of course, you'll do very bad, you'll lose games. But little by little, you'll learn how these positions work. And after all, in the beginning, we always want to get a better practice, better training. That's what knight c7 does. It's an incredible move, and that's what Gambit do in particular. Black couldn't take that knight. He then played g6, and now white moved queen h6. So black decided, okay, now you don't have knight queen takes f7, so I can just take your knight and play d5, right? Wrong. You see, the initiative is a very particular type of attack. It's not just connected to a threat. It's not connected to anything simple, straight like that. It's connected to the possibility of us making more forcing moves in a row. That's true. And then that's how white found out the possibility of playing bishop takes to f7. This was an amazing move. Now we do realize that after bishop takes f7, if black's rook gets to take on f7, he's getting checkmated, as none of the 4 pieces that are placed on the other side can be around to help what's going actually in this position. So rook to the e8 is incredible, and in fact black is definitely losing. And if he doesn't get to do it this way, then he really doesn't have much else to do. It's like if he plays with king takes f7, in fact he did it, king takes f7, then white's able to play with the move queen takes h7. It forces the black king to move out there. Then we have a move of queen to h4, the king goes down to g7, and then we have the possibility of rook e7. In reality, black is actually a piece down. He's a queen down. Because if you look at the king side, which is the real important area, black has only 1 rook and 1 pawn there. And white's attacking with an extra queen. This is what matters. It's not about what pieces you have. It's about what pieces you use. And this is ultimately what matters in Gambits. If the black king goes down there, it's pretty clear. I mean, obviously we have rook a8, e8, and a few checks and checkmates that the rook can go to. So the king came down to f8 to cover that square, and it still didn't work, as white had this check, takes, another check here, and queen d4 checkmate. I hope you liked that example. I personally did a lot, because it's just one of these examples that shows us what really we have to do in order to be successful with such a gambit. And even if you're not successful, it's still good to play those, because they're an amazing practice for our tactical skills and ability to get better. That's what I recommend you to do.